Here we are at video 11, and I want to ask you a very important question. Can you tell me what this is? Do you see that? Can you tell me what that is? I know somebody out there is saying it's a dot. Somebody out there is saying it's a pyramid, excuse me, a period. But what's this? Actually, you could call it a dot, you could call it a period, but I prefer to call it a point. And what happens if you put a bunch of points together? What do you get? Well, you get a line. And do you know about lines that they go on forever and ever in either direction? Now, let's say that we have a point A on this line and a point B on this line. This would be called AB. Just this section, AB, would be called a line segment. Just AB would be called a line segment, and that's how we'd write it, AB with a little line over it. Now, let's say we had an end point, and the rest was a line going forever and ever in that direction. This, it wouldn't be called a line segment, it would be called a ray. And when you put two rays together, and they meet at this vertex, we have an angle. And today we're going to be learning about angles and triangles. And I want you to get ready because you're going to learn this very quickly. Now, all of the things that I'm talking about here are on page 30 in your workbook, so don't worry about taking notes. I want you to listen, 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 because you will be learning this very quickly. So get ready. Pay attention. Here we go. The first angle that I want to introduce you to is a right angle. Here it is, a right angle. Now, a right angle, if I look up in the ceiling here, I can see a lot of right angles. In fact, up in the ceiling, they have a bunch of squares. And each square has a right angle. Here's one. This little box means right angle. There are four. There must be about 100 on this ceiling. And I bet you if you look around right now, where you are right now, you're going to see that there are many right angles. A right angle measures at 90 degrees. And how do you measure an angle? Well, you do it with a protractor. Remember that? It kind of looked like this, and it has all the little angle measurements. And you put the protractor on the angle, and it will measure 90 degrees. So 90 degrees is a right angle. This angle is 90 degrees. A right angle is 90 degrees, and it has a little box right here to tell me. Now, acute little angle is called an acute angle. It's less than 90 degrees, less than 90 degrees. So an angle that is less than 90 degrees is called an acute angle. Think cute, small, acute. And an angle that is more than 90 degrees, more than 90 degrees, is called an obtuse angle. So here's 90 degrees, an obtuse angle is just a bit more. It can be anywhere from 90 to 100, from 91 to 180. So an obtuse angle is more than 90, but less than 180. Less than 180. So from 91 to 179 degrees could be an obtuse angle. Now the next angle I want to introduce you to is my favorite. It's called a straight angle. It's two right angles put together. It's 90 and 90. A straight angle equals 180 degrees. A straight angle is 180 degrees. And what's a reflex angle? Take a look at this one. Well, I always think about going to the doctor, and you know how he checks your reflexes? You know, he hits you on the knee and checks your reflexes. So I always think about this being the knee, and he's hitting you right there and checking your reflexes. So a reflex angle is more, it's more than 180 degrees, but it's less than 360 degrees. So this is the angle here. This is a reflex angle. So let's review. A right angle is right here. Here's a right angle, 90 degrees. An acute angle is smaller than a right angle. It's smaller than 90 degrees. An obtuse angle, right here, is more than 90 degrees, but it's less than 180. And this is a straight angle. Straight angle is 180 degrees. When you go to the doctor and he hits your knee there, that's a reflex angle. It's more than 180 and less than 360. You got them? Sure you do, and we're going to test it right now. So get ready, get ready. No looking in your books. I want to see how many people remember their angles. You ready? Which one is this? It's a straight angle. And how many degrees? 180 degrees. Which one is this? It's a right angle. And how many degrees? 90 degrees. How about this one? It's an acute angle, smaller than 90 degrees. And how about this one? It's an obtuse angle, more than 90 degrees, less than 180 degrees. And how about this angle here, like when you go to the doctor's office? It's a reflex angle, more than 180 degrees and less than 360. How'd you do? Did you get 100%? I bet you did. Now, let's go learn about triangles. I want to introduce you to a few triangles, and I want you to learn them just as quickly. Can you do it? Sure you can. Come on over here. Here we have a right triangle, and it's a right triangle because it has a right angle in it. Here it is. And what is a triangle? A triangle is a figure with 3 sides and 3 angles. Here are the angles, and here are the sides. 3 sides and 3 angles. And this triangle has a right angle, so it's called a right triangle. Now take a look at the next one. And I know it looks kind of strange, but take a look at this word. If you really look at that word, you'll be able to figure out what it is. It's equilateral. Equilateral, that means equal sides. In an equilateral triangle, all 3 sides are equal and all 3 angles are equal. Equilateral. 3 sides are equal and 3 angles are equal. The next has a long name also. It's called an isosceles triangle. Isosceles triangle. And an isosceles triangle has the 2 base angles are equal and their corresponding sides are equal. So in an equilateral triangle, 3 sides are equal. In an isosceles triangle, only 2 sides are equal. And the last triangle, no sides are equal, no angles are equal, and it's called a scalene triangle. So, let's review. A right triangle has a right angle. An equilateral triangle has 3 angles that are equal and 3 sides that are equal. An isosceles triangle has 2 sides that are equal and 2 angles that are equal. And last but not least, a scalene triangle has no sides equal and no angles equal. Do you know these? Yes, you do. Let's prove it. I'm going to erase the board, and let's see if you remember what they are. Come on, we're going to truly learn math quickly. Now, what do you call a triangle that has a right angle in it? A right triangle. Easy, huh? And what do you call a triangle where 2 sides are equal and 2 angles are equal? What do you call that? You call it an isosceles triangle. And what do you call a triangle where all 3 sides are equal and all 3 angles are equal? That's called an equilateral triangle. And what do you call a triangle where no sides are equal and no angles are equal? It's a scalene triangle. Did you get 100%? Do you remember what an equilateral triangle is? In an equilateral triangle, we have all 3 sides are equal and all 3 angles are equal. Now, if all 3 sides are equal and all 3 angles are equal, and you know that angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 will equal 180 degrees. In any triangle, angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3 will equal 180 degrees. If you know that, then you can figure out what degrees each of these angles is. What's the degree in this angle? What is it? Can you figure it out? This plus this plus this will equal 180 degrees. If you divide 3 into 180 degrees, you will find out that each angle is 60 degrees. Now, in an equilateral triangle, all 3 angles are equal and all 3 sides are equal. So if this side is 2 and this side is 2, what's going to be the measurement on this side? 2. Exactly. Okay, let's take a look at another another triangle. Here we have, do you remember this? Here we have an isosceles triangle. The base angles are equal and the corresponding sides are equal. Now if this is 70 and this is 70, okay, how much would this angle be? Remember, all three angles added up will always, always, always equal 180 degrees. So 70 plus 70, right, is going to be 140, and 180 minus 140 will equal 40 degrees. 40 degrees. So that third angle is going to be 40 degrees. Let's try another one. Here we have a right triangle. Remember a right triangle? Right triangles have a right angle in them. And let's say that this is 30 degrees. If this is 30 degrees, how much is this angle? How are we going to find it? 90 plus 30 equals 120. 180 minus 120 will give me 60 degrees. 60 degrees. Okay, now one more thing I want to show you. And what I want to show you is something called vertical angles. Now to me they look like a bow tie, but I want to show you that vertical angles are equal. If this is 30 degrees, then this is 30 degrees. And I want to prove that to you. Here we have a straight line. The measurement of this straight line is 180 degrees. But, so from here to here is 180 degrees. But if I draw a line through it here, I end up with, and this angle is 30 degrees. I want to know if from here to here is 30 degrees, how much from here to here? Well, it's 180 minus 30, which is 150 degrees. If I extend this line, and I know that from here to here is 180, and I know from here to here is 150, well, from here to here is 180 minus 150, or 30 degrees. And if from here to here is 180 degrees, and from here to here is 30 degrees, how much from here to here? Well, 180 minus 30 is 150 degrees. And when you add all these things up together, well, you'll get 360. But I want to show you this again. Let's make sure you really know how to do this. Let's have another set of vertical angles. Let's say that this is 20, then this is 20. Well, actually 20 degrees would look a little bit smaller than that. Please use your imagination. 20 and 20. Now, here we go. I draw my straight line, right? This is 180 degrees. But I'm going to draw a 20-degree angle here. So 180 minus 20 is 160 degrees. So from here to here is 20. And from here to here is 160. If I extend this line, then from here to here will have to be 20, because 160 and 20 is 180. And from here to here is 180. So from here to here will have to be 160, because 160 minus 20, 180 minus 20 is 160. So vertical angles are equal. If this is 20 and this is 20, then this is 160 and this is 160. And I want to show you another thing that I think you'll be interested in seeing, and that is whenever you have two parallel lines cut by a third line, which is called a transversal, and it will make two sets of vertical angles. Now, if this is 60, and this is 60, and this is 120, and this is 120, guess what? It's going to be repeated right down here. So we have 60 and 60 and 120 and 120. So two parallel lines cut by a third line, a transversal, will make two sets of vertical angles, and these vertical angles will be the same. So if you got a question that looked like this, you would know what the answer is because all you have to do is fill in the other angles. Here it is, same thing repeated on the bottom, same thing repeated on the bottom. Or let's say that we had this was 40 degrees and you wanted to know what this was. Well, if this is 40, then this is 140. And if this is 40, then the question mark is going to be 140. When dealing with two lines cut by a transversal, I like to fill in all the angles, and then I will know exactly what that question mark is referring to. So today we've gone over many things, and what I'd like you to do is I would like you to do the work in the Learn Math Quickly Workbook 3. I would like you to do Part 1, pages 31 to 34, and Part 2, pages 35 to 38. Also take a look at Test 1 and Test 2, and remember there's a review sheet on page 30 that tells you all your angles and your triangles that you already know.